Hi, this is Warren Berry of Instinctive Solutions, and I want to welcome everyone to the very, very first Better the Pond Pondcast, inaugural one. And we're here to celebrate and acknowledge incredible people who are doing amazing things to better the pond and leading the change of generosity. Today, my guest is Odile Horjus. I hope I got that correct.
Sorry.
And Odile is from the Dominican Republic. She was in Master Chef in the Dominican Republic. She got down to the finalists, I do believe. She is also known as the Chef de Colores.
Colores.
That too. As otherwise the colorful chef. Well, I want to hear that story. She's the secretary and president-elect of the Rotary Club of Puerto Plata. She's heading up a program to get food baskets to families in the Dominican Republic and is actually down in the trenches delivering food to families. Odile speaks 5 languages. She can walk an airplane on a tarmac. She rides wild horses, owns her own catering company. She can cook, obviously. She's incredibly intense, impatient, and as you can see, she's a blonde.
Oh my God.
That is a whole lot of awesome right there. So I want to welcome you, Odile, to the very, very first Better the Pond Pondcast.
Okay, now I know why I'm single when you put it like that.
So I want you to tell me, after all that, I mean, not many can top that, but tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, well, Warren, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to your very first Pondcast. I got that correct, right?
You got that correct.
Yes, very nice. And I'm very thrilled to talk to you. I am actually not from the Dominican Republic. I'm originally born and raised in the Netherlands, but it's funny that you put it that way because when Dominicans ask me where I'm from, I always tell them I'm from Puerto Plata because I've been living since 1991 in the Dominican Republic. I did go back for about 10 years when my son was born in Santiago de los Caballeros. That is the city in the center of the island. And I decided to bring him to Europe for his education, but I call it always my 10, 12 miserable years back in Europe because I missed the colors. And the Dominican Republic is filled up with colors, rhythm, exotic, sun. I love it here. And this is a place where I feel good, where I feel at home. I cannot explain it. I guess it's the same as when you fall in love. You cannot explain it, and that's the whole idea about it, right? So that's me and the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic is also a place where you see poverty all around you. So when something like this is happening, and you see that the people who have been working to make other people feel good, because that's what it is all about in tourism. And with this coronavirus, people lost their jobs from one day to the other. There are no airplanes coming in anymore. All the hotels are closed. There are no excursions taking place. It's a very, very sad thing. So people who have been working for years in tourism to make other people feel happy and at home and give them service are now at home and they're hungry.
What is it that makes the Dominican so wonderful that people would stay?
Their smile.
Their smile.
Yes. They make people feel welcome. They make people feel you're part of this country as soon as you step out of that plane.
When we were talking about Odile earlier, before we got on this call, right? I was saying, I went to Punta Cana, and I didn't get that feel. I didn't get that energy from the people there. It was complete. And when I went to Puerto Plata, everything, it just changed. It was just, the energy was so different. The people were so happy. They were a community. They relied on one another. I mean, it was such a different feel for me being on one aspect, and and the Dominican is not that large, from one side of the island to the other. so there was, I felt that there was something magic about, about Puerto Plata. And that is one of the reasons why we're even having this conversation. If I didn't feel what I felt, we wouldn't be talking. So it was, so you say it's the smile. I think it's the energy.
Yes, it's everything together. I think, Warren. I think the people make you feel welcome. They make you feel part of their culture, and that's what that smile is all about. It's like welcoming you into literally into their abrazo. It's like a hug, and it makes you feel good, and it makes you feel welcome, and it makes you feel part of the community.
So you just said something really, really important to me, is that the people there are so very generous,
Yes.
right? So what would happen if we were generous back? Since they led the charge of generosity before, right? Now the tables have turned. How would they feel
Yes.
if we basically led the charge of generosity back to them?
Are very proud people, so they will not ask for help. They will try to make it work themselves. I think actually everybody in the whole wide world will feel very uncomfortable when they're in a situation that they're literally hungry and they don't have money for the basics. And that's in this case so basic, it's food. We're not talking about shoes, we're not talking about meat, we're just talking about regular rice, beans, and some other things to be able to cook. So they try to work on that themselves, but we recognize that's impossible. So yes, it is time to give back, but is it all about the time? Is it only about coronavirus? I
Yeah.
don't think so.
No?
I think it's always time. I've been telling people before, it's not always about money. It's about opening your eyes and being alert if there's somebody who might need a hand, right? Opening a door for an elder lady. The other day, I was standing in line in the supermarket, and there was this beautiful girl who was pregnant. Obviously, she didn't feel good because it were the first days that the summer temperatures are starting again. And it was hard on her body, and she was waiting for hours already to get into the supermarket. Now she had to wait for hours in line, in the cash register line. So I looked at her and I said, "Are you okay?" And she says, "I can hang on." So I went over to the cash register girl and I said, "Listen, there is this lady and she's pregnant. Would you mind letting her go first? We don't mind, so please let her go." So the cash register girl says, "I don't see that she has a belly." And so I said, "I don't think you have children." And she says, "No, I don't." And I said, "You don't need to show a belly not to feel good by being pregnant." So everybody was laughing. We made a joke about it, and then she went to the cash register, and she didn't have to wait anymore. So it's just about being sweet to other people, and you don't have to have a lot of money to throw around. It's not about that. I mean, yes, it comes in handy if you want to buy food for other people, but if you don't have it because you're in a difficult situation, share some posts if you see a good initiative from people who are helping others. It's
So
not
you
that difficult.
Right, and so that is why we call this the Better the Pond Pondcast. Everyone in the world lives. We all live in the same pond,
Yeah,
and it's what can we do to create a great habitat? Like right now, the habitat's not so great. We're in a bit of a storm, but what can you do for someone else expecting nothing in return, just
yeah.
to better their pond? If you throw a pebble into a pond, you have no idea of the ripples that you will create, and that's what we're going to do today, Odile. And down the road, we're going to create a whole pile of ripples for the people of the Dominican Republic. This is going to be a lot of fun. So I have a question for you.
Let's go ahead. Mhm.
So there are moments in my life I know where I've felt like the odd duck, a bit of a misfit, doing things differently. But I've realized over time that it was those moments in my life that really defined me of who I am today. So have you ever felt like an odd duck?
No, I always feel like the black sheep.
There's no, well, there's no sheep in my pond, but
Well, lots of people think I quack too much. So I know what you're saying. Yes, I think so. I was in the lucky position that I was born and raised in Europe with parents who both spoke languages and loved to travel. So I've been in the lucky situation that I was able to travel all around starters in Europe, learn to speak different languages, and I noticed that you don't need to speak a language. It's really about that smile. It's about people seeing that you're interested in them. If you just pick up in whatever language, because I might speak five, but that means that there's still a whole lot of other languages that I don't speak, right? So wherever I come and I don't speak the language, I always try to pick up a few words so people see that I'm interested. And I think really that's all what it is all about in the whole wide world. Be interested in each other and try to reach out to each other and not being so difficult. Like people always think in problems. Why don't you try to quit with the excuses and try to think in solutions? It's so much more fun because it makes you do things that you might otherwise not do.
Okay. I'm gonna change gears a little bit on you. That's wonderful. I love your passion. So passionate.
Intense.
So there's shift gears because we're gonna come back into a little bit of that. But when is something that someone did for you that had an impact on your life?
I had a lot of people doing a lot of things for me.
Give me, give
I'm
me,
just
give me
grateful.
one that stands out. One that just comes immediately to your mind when someone did something for you that impacted your life.
Yes, my good friend Jacqueline. And if I talk about it, you'll tear me up because she lives in Holland and I live in the Dominican Republic. And when I went to Holland, I opened my own catering company. And I was very unlucky because the city hall decided 2 days before the opening of my new company to open up the main street in front of my business. And for 7 months they were working on it. So I went bankrupt even before I opened. I worked my butt off. I had to close the door. I went bankrupt, and on top of that, I had a huge burnout, both physically and mentally because of all the stress. And Jacqueline, as a single mother and a very, very good and sweet friend, was always there for me. Always. She helped me with anything you can think of. She would cook me dinner because I was always cooking for other people. She would babysit my son. He could sleep overnight there. She would walk in and help me clean the place. So she basically helped me survive. And she's always in the back of my mind that I say like, oh, I will never in my life be able to do good enough for other people if I want to pay that one back. Never, never.
Well, I think you're off to a really good start, to be honest with you. So, what are you, as I said earlier, that we're all in the same pond, right? And so, what can we do to make things better for someone else? And that could be, whether it's that's somebody in your own neighborhood, it's somebody across the world. It really makes no difference. We're all in the same pond. So, I want to know right now, what are you doing to better the pond, and why are you doing it?
Well, one of the members mentioned there are so many people who are hungry, and he said we should do something. We should offer food baskets. They're not literally food baskets; they're bags filled with food, but they are for a family their basic ingredients to survive during a week.
So what's in the hampers? What are you putting in there?
We have pasta in it, we have beans in it, there is rice, there is oil. I have it on my Facebook account, and then we can place that later here. There is a picture, and there you can see everything that's on it. It's not that expensive. It's like 550 pesos, which equals about 12 US dollar, I have to say. So what we're doing now is we're helping about 225 people in Puerto Plata Then a few other members of our club are actually outside Puerto Plata in what they call here the campo, the countryside. They're helping around 250 families there as well. And then we are combining our efforts with Club Sosua because in Sosua, which is a very small little town, there is even nothing to buy in bulk anymore. So they send us money, we add money, we buy here in bulk, we send it back, and that goes all to a church where there are actually cooking for the people in the area. So when
Really,
you
they're actually having to cook for people and
yeah,
then ship the food
yeah,
out. It's
it's a
to
good
that
thing.
point.
And that way you really keep close control what's happening in your neighborhood. So we're actually looking at more than 500 families. Thank heavens we have one thing covered, and that are the 250 families in the countryside. That's financially covered. But we're still looking at start to count, calculate. We're looking at around fifteen to $22,000 top of my head.
So we're dealing with like 500 families that you're having to deal with, whether that be in Puerto Plata or outside in the community. So that's really impactful. That's a lot of people. It was interesting because Bianca and Elvis from Elvis Tours there. She really made a strong point of because Puerto, especially Puerto Plata. We're only speaking that behalf, but you really heavily relied on tourism. So no tourism, which means no money, which means no jobs, which means no food, which so I think that right now I think that with everybody trying to even if we had one person to give $13 US, which is about like $47,000 Canadian. I'm kidding. uh, but it's but it's if one person get $13 US, and if you had 1,000 people do that, imagine the impact you could have, right? So I mean,
Yes, that's what she answered to one of her tourists. One of her tourists said actually to her, I really don't have a lot of money and it's actually 12 US. That's not really going to make a difference. She said, if all my followers would think the same and pay $12, we would be taking care of everybody.
well, we could take, there's this. Have you ever heard of the starfish story?
No,
A child was walking down the beach, and there was all these starfish all washed up on the beach, and so and they were everywhere, and so he was taking one at a time, and he was throwing them back in the water, and this older gentleman came up to him and said, you're never going to make a difference to all those starfish. You'll never get that all done. And he threw one in the water. He said, I made a difference to that one.
there you go.
Right, and that's the same philosophy. So I want you to dig deep here for a second. Okay, I I want to know, why are you doing what you're doing?
Um, because I am strong, I am healthy, I am young, and I can. And I think it is my responsibility as a human being to help other people. And if I have the capacity of doing something that might seem for people like a huge thing, then it's a huge thing. Um, I don't always have the energy. I still have my problems with my burnout. So sometimes I have to rely on other people as well. Bianca doesn't go into the barrios, but she is huge, huge on social media. I mean, she's my local hero because she makes sure that everybody who's reading the post is going to think, I better help.
Okay,
So,
I'm going to
you
stop you there again. I got to pull you back.
know,
You gave me a really good answer from your head, right? That I'm young, I'm healthy, I can do it, I'm capable, right?
yes. Mm.
I want you to go into your heart. Why are you doing what you're doing, Odile?
You want to know something? I don't think about those things. It just happens. And it has to do with the fact that I know when the hits the fan, somebody has to make sure that everything is taken care of. And I know that I'm good in organizing. And like I said, I can work very well under high pressure. So before I know it, I jump on top of it and I'm all the way in. So it's
Because you
not
care.
probably, yeah, I guess. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. But it's a natural reaction for me, and my friends know it, and they go like, "Oh, there you are again. Yep, you're in your natural thing. This is the way we know you."
That's
If
the
I
energy.
could, if I could do this every day of the week, I would. And I'm not saying with the virus, but with other things. I just need a very rich husband because I still need to pay my bills. So there's somebody out there, let me know. It has to be sweet.
Okay.
I cook. Anyway,
Well, one step at a time.
okay,
Odile,
okay,
one step at a time.
I'm going to
Okay. So I personally believe that everyone is awesome. That's what I believe. And I think that everyone has a superpower. And, and growing up, I was kind of fond of Superman, and, and I was kind of fond of Spider-Man was cool, right? But I was never a big Marvel Comics guy. But, in the last while, actually, I was watching The Incredibles. Have you watched The Incredibles?
Yeah.
Right. So the one that I associate with is Dash, the sun, right? I mean, it's its ability to move fast, right? And that's really, I can totally relate to that, and I know how I work and how I talk. But that I have a need for speed, right? So
Okay.
that's my superpower. I get things done very quickly. So I want to know
Um,
what is your superpower, Odile? What's your superpower? Blonde. That's not a superpower. What do you do with it?
I make it my superpower because half half of the half of the people underestimate you, and I love it. And in this country, yeah, it's true. They really underestimate you
Wow,
because you look like
that's
angels.
profound.
It's true. When I was working as a multilingual guide in Amsterdam on the buses, I had a colleague and we were the same age. And she was tall and she was skinny and she had long black hair and green cat eyes. When she would get on the bus, everybody would be quiet. When I would go on the bus, no difference. So, it is just and that doesn't have anything to do with energy. It just has to do with the way you look. And people underestimate the blonde. So I get away with a lot of stuff. I can make sure that I can negotiate a lot because people think they always take advantage of me anyway. So that's a good thing. And then the other people here in this country, they always let me in everywhere, and that's a good thing as well. So I can knock on doors, and if I don't take disadvantage of it, but I use it for good causes, then that's great. So yeah, my blonde hair helps me a lot.
That's your superpower.
Yep.
What what does your future look like? What you know?
Who knows? Who knows? My life is filled with adventures, and I'm working very, very hard on my own real estate company, but it seems like it's not going to work right now. So last week, a neighbor passed by and goes like in Italian, "I cannot believe that you're still not cooking for everybody because we are sick and tired of eating pizza." So I thought, wow, when an Italian is sick and tired of eating pizza, there's really a necessity for some other fruit. So I am starting this week to cater from my house just to make sure that people can order food. And we'll see where that will go because with Master Chef, I was in the very first episode of the Dominican Master Chef. And out of the 3,700 participants, I was with a group of the 18 finalists on TV. So that means I have passion for food, and people recognize that. I also do have now, thanks to the MasterChef show, a TV show where I cook every single week live on Dominican TV. So this is in Spanish. But people in the US in certain cities can watch it as well.
Okay, I got to stop you right there. I have to stop you because for my very very first Pondcast, I got to interview a TV celebrity.
Yes.
Wow.
I tell people now, listen, you might not like to do anything by being actively involved with giving away food, but at least help because it helps you as well living in this city. Otherwise, all these people would be on the streets trying to steal from you because they need to get somewhere food. And let me tell you, I had myself anxiety attacks the night before I had to go into all these places because, like I said, you never know if you're going to catch that virus or not. Now, I have a friend who lives here, and she got tested positive, where she was all the time at home, and there was just one incident, and she got it. So I'm treating the whole world as if they have the virus within them, because you don't know if you have it or not.
Right.
And even tests might show that you're negative, but sometimes the test results are not correct. So I'm treating the whole world as if they have the virus. And my son does not like what I'm doing. He has been fighting with me about this. And I have to take it very serious because he's 60 years old and we live in one house and we have quarantine for a reason. So if his mom decides to go into town and knock on everybody's door, I am taking a risk also for my son. How am I going to explain that to him?
Well, we really sure, and I'm sure the people out there truly appreciate it. I think it's very courageous.
Thank
I think that you have a very big heart to do what.
you. Mhm.
I think it's incredible. I just people like there's I love meeting people like you because you make a difference in the world. It's one person making a huge impact, and I think that I mean all the kudos in the world. I mean,
Thank
so
you, Warren. I don't look at myself like that at all. I'm just a girl from the countryside in Holland, and I am lucky that I can organize. And then when something comes by, that's what I do. And everybody,
I'm on the other side of your eyeballs, so that's what we see on the outside.
thank you so much.
Okay?
That gives me the motivation to keep on going.
Absolutely. So I really want to thank you for leading the charge of generosity. It's absolutely incredible. So where can we go to find you? I know I'm going to be working on my end. We're trying to create some work on my end, but for right now, where can people go to help out the Rotary Club, to be able to donate to you, to do what they can? Of course, they can. How can they reach you? What do we need to do?
Okay, you can look at my Facebook account, Odile Horjus, which is like impossible. So you have to write it down somewhere.
So it's Odile, HORJ.
H-O-S. That's my Facebook account. And if you scroll, you will find all kinds of pictures about the project. And obviously, uh, Club Rotario Porto Plata, which is Rotary Club, but it's Club Rotario Porto Plata. And
Ontario, Puerto Plata.
yes, and I did post today from our last rounds lots of pictures and also the information because you can use PayPal. And if you say, I don't know how to use PayPal or it's difficult, PayPal does give you an option to pay by credit card. So that's also a possibility. Then, of course, we do have the Dominican peso account, but for foreigners, that's not that interesting. But we do have several ways to donate. And you can also follow me on Instagram, obviously, which is Odile Chef de Colores. And then
Say that again now for the slow it down a little bit for us English people.
Chef
Chef
de
de
Colores.
Colores,
Colores.
meaning colorful, correct?
Yes.
Yes, I was brushing up on my Espanol.
Muy bien.
So again, I want to thank you, and anybody that's listening, please reach out to Odile, reach out to me. We're going to be working really hard. We're going to be, the next episode, we're talking to Bianca and Elvis of Elvis Tours. They're doing some incredible work in the Dominican Republic as well. So we're going to get their perspective on things, get their story. And everybody, please do what you can to help out Odile, help out the people of the Dominican Republic. because we're going to go back there and see it again. So we want to make sure that it's a happy and healthy place when we get back there again. So if anybody out there knows anyone who is leading the charge of generosity, please reach out to me at warren@instinctivesolutions.ca. That's instinctivesolutions.ca. So we can continue to better the pond. And we're going to take you beyond the pond to better the pond, because we're better together.